Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. Martin Luther King. My Best Christmas. Author Lourdes Lopez Salazar. It all began in December 2024 in the state of Utah, United States, as we were getting ready to go on Christmas vacation for my beloved Martin Luther King Elementary School, where I'm in the 5th grade. That day, my school looked beautiful, decorated with Christmas colors in red, green, and gold. I remember that the day before, we had our big Christmas party. For the occasion, our whole class dressed in red and wore Santa Claus hats. Then, we went to the auditorium to sing Silent Night and Feliz Navidad. That same day, we had our posada, played some games organized by our teachers, and ate pizza. The day continued with the gift exchange. I got a pair of brown socks with reindeer designs, and I gave Susie a pink scarf, which by the way, she loved. I'm Mateo Davis Pajarito, and I'm 10 years old. My parents are Jose Davis Caradura and Daniela Pajarito de Davis, both Mexican by nationality, but they immigrated to the United States when they were kids. My dad works as an engineer in a car factory, and my mom stays at home. She loves to draw and paint pictures, which she sells to help with household expenses. I don't have any siblings, and my cousins live far away. My mom's parents live 4 hours away from Utah, where I live. The city is really nice. It has lots of national parks with amazing landscapes, some waterfalls, pizzerias, and ice cream shops that I love. Today, during recess, my school friends and I were reminiscing about some experiences we've had here. Let me tell you about a moment I'll never forget. It was when our team, the Aztecs, won first place with our first science invention. We had built a robot using only empty cans, and it walked! To make it move, we attached rubber bands to each can, which gave it mobility. I remember that to get the cans, my classmates and I went looking in trash bins far from our neighborhood. That's when we realized there are people who don't have food and eat what they find in the garbage. Among them, we saw a boy our age. After that tough experience, I really started to value the plate of food at home, and I don't complain when my mom makes chicken soup again. Wait, let me tell you another one of our stories. It was when our team won a soccer game against our rivals from Kennedy School. They always took first place every season, but they were pretty cocky. They mocked us saying they'd pluck our feathers from the start until we were bald. I still remember their laughs. The game was intense, and everyone thought we'd lose, but in the last minute, we went to penalties. I still remember that beautiful goal I got to score. It was truly amazing, especially hearing everyone shout, "Goal! Goal!" My mom ran toward me, thrilled, yelling, "That's my son! Goal! Goal! We won!" The whole school was jumping with excitement. It was awesome to see the faces of those cocky kids when we beat them. Ha! But here's another great story. How could I forget? It was when we lost the track race. With my class team, we had trained for 2 months for that event with my PE teacher. But the day before the race, it rained and the track didn't dry in time. Because of that, during the competition, I slipped and caused another runner to fall too. It created a chain reaction, like a pile-up, and we all ended up on the ground. When we saw ourselves on the floor, it was so funny that we started laughing. It's better to laugh than cry, as the saying goes. I remember my teacher was really mad. When he gets angry, one eyebrow goes up and he squints one eye. I get it. We had practiced for a long time, and he was sure we'd win. After the accident, he looked at us with so much disappointment and threatened to give us a bad grade in PE. He thought we had done it on purpose because we were laughing. When the teacher showed us the video to see what really happened, we all burst out laughing again. We couldn't stop, and we even made him laugh too. In the end, he realized it was just an accident. But despite all the good and bad things that happen here, I tell my buddies that our school is the best. It has the best teachers because they teach us and take care of us. My teachers will always be unforgettable to me. In the middle of the school courtyard, I was shouting and jumping with my soccer friends because we were about to go on vacation with no more homework. Hooray! My mom wouldn't rush me in the mornings to get up early, and I wouldn't have to go to bed at 8 every night. Singing with joy and passing the ball around, our sports teacher came and stopped the game, saying, "Kids, go wash your hands, grab your backpacks, it's time to leave. I wish you all a very happy vacation. See you next year, and Merry Christmas. Behave yourselves." He hadn't finished speaking when we let out a "Hooray! Yes!" We all shouted at once and high-fived each other, though honestly, I felt a little sad because I wouldn't see my friends for many days. My first day of vacation I spent lazing around all day, watching TV and eating snacks. What a life, I said. But I'll confess, I miss my school buddies, especially when my mom kept calling me to help with this or that. She sees me doing nothing, sprawled on the couch, and sends me to take out the trash or feed my pets. They eat every day. I have a turtle and Fleas, my dog. And what I like least is when she makes me pick up his poop. Ugh, gross. I think I'd rather go back to school. When I finally got free, I heard the soccer game starting on TV. I go to the living room and see they are showing a match with the best player in the world, Lionel Messi. No doubt, he's my favorite soccer player. I got comfy, grabbed some delicious oatmeal cookies my mom makes, leave the kitchen, and lie on the couch to watch. Super happy. When the game ends, my mom invites me to go for a bike ride. I love doing that in the afternoons. On my second day of vacation, I plan to play soccer at the park with my neighbors, who are also on vacation. I grab the phone to see if they want to meet me at the park when my mom appears again and says, "I need you to listen to me, Mateo." When she says my name and not baby, I know something's up. But I say, "Mommy, let me talk to my friends on the phone first, please." She takes the phone from my hand and hangs it up. With a very serious face, she says, "Mateo, it's important that you pay attention." I reply, No, I have to go to the park with my friends. I already did what you told me." Then, already angry, she says, "Well, if you don't want me to explain, if you don't have time to listen," and raising her voice more, she adds, "Then obey and go pack your suitcase, because we're taking a trip tomorrow to your grandparents' house." I answer, "What? Why tomorrow?" My mom, taking my arm and leading me to my room, starts telling me that my grandparents are waiting for us at their ranch house outside the city, a few hours from here, and that their house is very cozy, even though it doesn't have internet. But she is sure I'd have a great time. I asked again, making 1,000 faces. How can I have a good time without internet? I won't be able to watch my soccer shows. What am I gonna do? That's awful. It's been like 3 years since we saw my grandparents, and I don't even remember what they look like. Then, stomping and very angry, I said, "I don't wanna go." I went up to her and with a pleading voice said, "Pretty mommy, I don't wanna go. It's my Christmas vacation. I'll stay with Daddy." She got very serious and, speaking louder, said, "I didn't ask you. It's an order. You need to spend time with your grandparents and get to know them better. Please, go to your room, pack your suitcase, and go to bed, but not before brushing your teeth. Understood?" I was left alone, frowning, and went to my room sobbing. But when my dad got home, I ran to greet him. After buttering him up, bringing him his slippers and hugging him, I said, "Daddy," which means papi in Spanish, and hugging him, I whispered in his ear, I want to stay with you. I don't want to go with Mom to that grandparents' house, where there probably won't be any kids to play with and it'll be super boring without internet. And raising my voice, I added, it's my Christmas vacation, and I don't want to spend it at that scary ranch. You're going with your mom, and I'll join you a day before Christmas so we can spend it all together with your grandparents. Son, I know it's not what you're used to, but this Christmas will be different. Please, I'm very tired. Just do it. I know you'll like it. Trust me. He gave me a kiss on the head and sent me to my room. I was crying in my bed, hoping they changed their minds. But in the end, I had to get up and grudgingly started packing my suitcase, throwing clothes everywhere. In the morning, my mom woke me up and said, "We're leaving now. Everything's ready?" I got in the car and we headed to the neighborhood called Sugar House in Salt Lake, where my grandparents live. I decided to fall asleep because I was so upset and I didn't want to talk to my mom. After a few hours on the road, my mom woke me up saying we were almost there. When I opened my eyes, I saw a dirt road and fruit trees all around. A pleasant smell of oranges hit me. Then we turned onto a narrower path. Looking to my right, through the car window, I locked eyes with a big black bull. The animal looked very angry, and I got really scared. Then I saw another brown bull, some cows, and calves. Time passed, and I really needed to use the bathroom, but the smell around was pretty bad. I told my mom, "Please, let's go back home. I need to use the bathroom and this place scares me." She told me to wait, that we were almost there. Then, a pack of dogs of different breeds and sizes appeared in front of us, barking at us non-stop. I was terrified and started saying to my mom, "Please, let's get out of here or we'll die." I didn't want to look at my mom's face because she was laughing at me and very calmly said, "I assure you, son, they won't hurt you. I lived in this place when I was young, and the animals are very calm. They're used to being around people every day. Besides, the bulls aren't wild. They just come out to eat and go back to their corral." With that, she kept driving and added, "The dogs belong to your grandparents. You'll meet them soon." We finally arrived at my grandparents' little house. When we stopped the car, my grandparents came out almost running, with big smiles, asking my mom, "Is this our grandson? How he's grown! How handsome he is!" My grandma turned to my grandpa and said, "Look, he looks like you, Tobias, when you were young." But when I looked at my grandpa with his gray hair, wrinkled face, and tired appearance, I thought, no, I don't think so. My grandpa hugged me and lifted me high, carrying me to the house's door. When we went inside, I saw a beautiful Christmas tree decorated with pine cones and red ornaments. In the middle of the living room, there was a lit fireplace and the smell of stew that made my mouth water. When I looked at the wall, I saw a large portrait of my grandpa, dressed in a dark blue and white uniform. He looked very young, and wow, it was true. We did look alike. After their hugs and attention, they gave us food, but I couldn't help making yuck faces when they served me the meal. I asked, worried, "What's that?" Instead of feeling bad about my complaints, they burst out laughing. They explained the dish they had cooked for us. They said it was cochinita pibil, a dish from Mérida, Mexico, where my grandma is from, along with nopales and a big corn tamal. For dessert, an apple pie baked by my grandma. I started eating little by little, making faces. It had been a long trip and I was really hungry. But after 5 minutes, I was cleaning my plate because their strange stew was delicious. Later, My mom and Grandma Luisa stayed chatting and cleaning up the kitchen. My grandpa said to me, "Come on, champ, to the backyard. I'm going to introduce you to my dogs." I immediately said, "No thanks. Your dogs don't know me, and they'll bite me. And those monster bulls you have will gore me. I'm not going out until I leave this place." My grandpa let out a big laugh, thinking I was joking, and said, "Come with me. You'll learn not to be afraid of animals. Let's go out here, and I'll tell you about my adventures when I was a major lieutenant in the army here in the United States. I always had a companion, and guess who that companion was? This one, right here, my dog. Meet Lieutenant Torino." And he added, "But I also want you to tell me why you're so good at soccer. Your mom already told me about it." Then, I looked at the dog and burst out laughing, saying, "That was your companion? And how did you talk to him?" I was very rude and sarcastic, but without answering, he took my arm and said, "I'll take you to a place you'll really like." I had no choice but to follow him. We reached a big rock where the water was flowing from a mountain and pooling there. My grandpa stopped and whistled to Torino, who came running right away. Then he told him to sit, and the dog obeyed. Next, he threw some wheels and ordered him to fetch them, and the dog did everything he said. Finally, he told me, "Hide my cap. He'll find it and bring it back." And sure enough, he did. Later, he said to Torino, "Torino, wait for me here by the tree, and when I gave the signal, come back to me." He raised his arm, and the dog obeyed. It was incredible. My grandpa and I kept walking around, meeting different animals, from strange insects to little wild creatures like rabbits, and others my grandpa called Juanitos. They're small animals, like mice, but with faces like kids. Then we came across a little stream. He took off his shoes, invited me to do the same, and we sat on a rock to talk about soccer. Later, he made me a little boat out of pieces of wood, and we put it in the stream where it floated away until we lost sight of it. It was starting to be kind of fun. Later, I met the rest of Torino's family. In total, there were 10 dogs of different breeds: Bear, Gaia, Wolf, Flea, Trunk, Mist, Scruffy, and Black. They all listened to my grandpa, who had them well trained. Later, I went with him to feed 4 little pigs he had, and then we went to a big chicken coop where he collected some eggs that he said would be for the next day's breakfast. The day went by so fast that I felt tired and went to sleep. But in the morning, I was woken up by a rooster crowing "cock-a-doodle-doo" very early, followed by a chorus of little birds that seemed to be very close to me. When I sat up in bed, I let out a huge scream because there was a giant bird on my bed. When my mom came to my rescue, she just smiled and said, "Calm down, son. It's a family friend. It's a Havana pigeon raised by your grandma, and she always comes to say hello in the mornings, like saying, 'Ugly you, ha ha ha.'" I got up after the scare, looked out the bedroom window, and saw my grandpa already tending to the 3 horses, a pair with their foal. From a distance, he called me. "Come, Mateo," invited me to ride, but I replied, "No thanks." My grandpa insisted, saying, "Come on, come, it's not that hard. I'll teach you to ride, and it won't be on this big horse, which only I ride, but on this little foal, his son. His name is Little Son." So I ran to see him. He was a brown and white foal, and he looked at me a lot. My grandpa was so insistent that I had to agree to ride him. After going around a few times, I felt like I'd always been riding horses. My grandpa came out and shouted from the door, "Pet him, sweetie, talk to him, blow him kisses, pat his back, pull the reins. I did everything my grandpa told me, and the fool started listening to me and everything. It was wonderful. It got dark quickly, and I already wanted it to be morning again so I could ride the foal again. Each day, I was less afraid of the bulls, which I could see far away in their big corrals, and I didn't even notice how. But a week had already passed. One morning, my grandpa called me and said, "Let's talk, man to man. Would you like to help me on the ranch for the whole day?" I answered right away. "Yes, Grandpa." Then he said, "I have to go to the city for some errands and won't be back until tomorrow." And with a very serious voice he added, "Mateo, I trust you. You'll feed the dogs and the chickens and make sure the fences are closed. You'll take my place while I'm gone. I know you can do it." I looked up at him, since my grandpa was very tall and my eyes got huge, but I said, "Of course, Grandpa, don't worry about anything. I'll do it." The next morning, just as dawn was breaking, I heard my grandpa leaving the cart pulled away by 2 horses. That's when I got up and started my tasks. I fed the laying hens and then fed the dogs. But then, my grandma had already fed the pigs. I checked that the fences were closed and went to find little son, the foal, to say hello. He was alone. Poor thing, I thought. His parents had gone with my grandpa. And to cheer him up a bit, I took him out to ride around the house, like I had done before. But now, since my grandpa wasn't there, I thought I'd ride him all day, I thought. I'd been riding little son for about an hour when a rabbit placed a cross in front of his feet. The foal got so scared that he started neighing, then reared up on those 2 legs and threw me onto the ground. After that, little son ran off at full speed. "Friend, stop! Please!" I shouted. I ran after him with all my strength, but he got lost among the trees. Worried and tired from chasing him, I sat down to rest under a tree. Just as I was about to cry, Torino, my grandpa's dog, reached me, along with the whole pack. It might sound crazy, but the dogs were barking, as if saying, "We're here to help you. Let's keep looking for little son." That gave me the strength to get up and continue the search with them. We walked into a small forest I didn't know. Taking the lead, I followed a narrow path, and suddenly, a huge cat appeared in front of me, growling and meowing. It made me tremble from head to toe, thinking it would attack me. I closed my eyes, and when I opened them again, I saw all the dogs stand in front of me, protecting me and scaring off the wild cat. After chasing the cat for a bit, the dogs came back and started licking me, as if trying to comfort me from the scare. I got tired of looking for little son, and, sadly, returned home before lunch. My mom came out and said, "Lunch is ready. I was looking for you." I just looked at her but didn't tell her about the lost foal. I went inside, ate, and then lay down for a bit. Then I went out to look for him again, this time with Torino and his whole pack. We roamed the hills again but couldn't find him. Torino and the other dogs guided me back home because I would have gotten lost. It was getting dark, and strange noises from different animals started to scare me even more. Scared, I thought about little son, who must also be having a hard time, far from home. We got back home, and I checked in with my mom. My grandma offered me a sweet tamal and hot chocolate for dinner. Later, my grandma took a storybook and started reading to me until I fell asleep on the couch near the fireplace. In the middle of the night, I felt my mom pick me up to take me to bed to keep sleeping. But I only slept a little and woke up again, worried about my friend, the fool. I couldn't sleep knowing he might be in danger. I just wanted my grandpa to come back and help me find him. The commotion of the dogs in the early morning made me look out the window, and I saw a little son in the distance, escorted by Torino and all the other dogs. I immediately jumped out the window to reunite with the fool, who looked very happy to be back. I was happy too. I petted him and rolled around playing with all the dogs. I felt so grateful to them. After a few minutes, the sun started to rise. I had never seen such a beautiful sunrise. It felt like all the animals were celebrating with me, each singing their own song, but together it sounded like a choir of different voices. It was a beautiful spectacle. That ended when I heard my grandpa's cart and his horses pulling up. He was back! My grandpa arrived with gifts for everyone, and when he saw me, he asked if everything was under control. I just said yes. I felt like I didn't need the gifts I had been so excited about, or the internet. I was immensely happy. That day was Christmas Eve, and in the afternoon, my dad arrived. He hugged me and said, "What happened, champ? Did you survive the ranch without internet?" And smiling, he asked me to help bring down Fleas, my dog, and the gifts to fill my grandparents' Christmas tree. Then, looking into my eyes, he added, "You look so happy. I'm really glad. Come on, show me what's new at your grandparents' ranch." I quickly started telling him about Little Son, the foal, Torino, the police dog, and all my animal friends on the ranch. I told them how they're fed and what my grandpa taught me to be a good rider. I explained that I now know all the ranch chores and that I'm not so afraid of the bulls anymore. Later, we gathered around the table, and my grandpa said a prayer, thanking God for spending Christmas all together as a family. We shared the delicious dishes made by my grandma and mom: turkey, tamales, pozole, champurrado, buñuelos, and apple pie, which is now my favorite. Then we danced and sang Christmas carols and cumbias. At midnight, we wished each other a Merry Christmas and opened the gifts. I couldn't stop telling my whole family that this has been the most beautiful Christmas because I was with my parents, grandparents, my dog Fleas, and the ranch animals. After the party, it was really hard to say goodbye to my grandparents. I realized that in such a short time, I learned so many things, especially about love for grandparents and animals. I'll never forget my friends Torino and his dog family. And how could I forget my great friend, the full Little Son? When I returned to school, I felt different, like I had grown 2 years older in just a few days. My friends couldn't believe my incredible adventures at my grandparents' ranch and made me tell the story over and over. Our teacher asked us to write about our Christmas, and I wrote more than 5 pages with drawings of my grandparents, my parents, and all the animals on the ranch. My teacher loved it so much that she pinned the drawing on the board for the rest of the year. Enjoy this story in the author's voice.
¿Qué?
In Spanish on YouTube. Did you pay attention to this amazing story? If so, answer all these questions. What is the name of Mateo's school soccer team? What was the science project with which Mateo's team won first place? What did Mateo find in the trash bins besides old cans for his science project. Do you remember the name of the police dog? The grandpa's mission companion? Name some characters you remember from this story. Do you remember why Mateo didn't want to go to his grandparents' ranch? What was Mateo afraid of when he arrived at his grandparents' ranch? In which city did Mateo and his family live, and what was beautiful about that city, according to Mateo? Write on a sheet of paper an anecdote about something interesting that happened to you during Christmas.